years after uni. That's a key thing. Maybe building a little bit of experience before is good, but don't get stuck into comfort. The other thing which is very key is to manage risk and to make sure you've got the right competencies and stuff like that, is to work with great people. Like really the quality of people is the major key differentiator for success. And you can train, you know, we are not born competent. We can train, we can learn. So that's one thing that you always have to learn. And another thing I was thinking about, convincing the bank, it's going to take a bit of time. You need a proof of concept first. You need to find ways to show that it can work. So usually you go for love money before you go for a bank. And
there are other ways of financing also.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to stop there for now.
Don't think about banks actually, to make it easy, at the beginning at least.
You will talk with them eventually, or maybe investor, but don't start with them. Other ways.
They don't finance early stage. They won't actually.
No.
Anything else, Felix?
I have to look at my notes.
Yeah, I thought you were messaging your wife earlier.
No.
You were taking notes. Okay, good.
Taking notes. You know, like, is engineering okay? Well, engineer, why not? You know, if you are an engineer. No, but I've got all my conversation for the past 5 years in this, you know,
same
Evernote app. So anytime a client calls me, you know, I pick up the phone and I remember exactly where we were in the conversation in 2 seconds. Exactly. That's quite useful. So can you become a social entrepreneur after being an engineer? Absolutely. I mean, even after being a sociologist or a marketer or whatever, it's about the guts. It's about understanding your project, your product, working with the right people, managing your risk. Managing your risk is actually very good, you know, if you're an engineer, because part of what you do as an engineer is you map situations, and so you can map the risk and you can map alternatives to de-risk certain situations. So, yeah, be confident in your skills, young ones.
Thank you, Felix. Leila Bengesem is a biomedical engineer, so she can tell you more about it. Montez?
Can you tell me the question? I heard like 20 questions.
I know it's the hardest question that an entrepreneur can answer, and it's the one that comes all the time. How do we start? That's what they've been asking. It's that easy, but complicated to answer.
How do we start? The same. We don't have one answer for starting any project in the world, even in entrepreneurship, in business, in charity. We talked about the passion. First thing, if you have passion for something, you most probably will succeed on it. There is no recipe to start something. It's always a trial and error, you know. There is nothing, even, I'm one of the people that is not really convinced with business plan. And I think we have to replace it with planning, which is like ongoing process of enhancing your project. But I'm against the business plan because it takes too much time. It can take up to 1 year if it's a serious business plan, which is the market can change in this period. So what I'm doing in my own projects is always trying to figure out the best opportunities and try to select the passion and see what of those opportunities can fit with my passion, and then start. Normally you will have it's always 50-50 risk, you know. It's always you can succeed and you cannot at the same time. And even the most richest and most successful entrepreneur, they failed in their process. And as long as you fail, as long as you will be more stronger with time. So I had a lot of failure in my business. So what I'm presenting today is not the failure. I'm presenting the success part. But we all have our own kitchen, which is very, at the same time, chaotic.
Matthias, what did you learn from your failures? That's interesting. You're correct. What did you learn from your failures? How do we pass from a failure story to a success story?
Actually, if you remember the video that we just recorded in, we have recorded in Singapore in 2007, and it was after.
By the way, no one got it. What is it?
Okay, okay.
Please explain what was that video.
Okay, that was a promise with a team who failed in the World Cup. Okay, so we presented our project in the World Cup, and we didn't succeed to reach the semi-final. Okay. So we promised each other after the failure, in the moment of the failure, we promised that we will win it the next year. That was the story behind it. That's why I
Did you win it the next year?
And we win it, yes.
Okay,
yeah, that's the story.
Last year, okay.
It wasn't really. That's the story behind it. It's success coming from failure, not from success. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the things that we remarked, I was a judge in Enactus, Toronto last time, and what we always see that team after they lose a competition, as it's a competition, they they move and go and hang out after the competition, which is a common mistake in all Enactus teams. So my advice is you have to attend the failure moment. If you consider it as a failure, it's not failure for sure if you don't win the World Cup, but I mean if you define it as a failure, as not a winner, you have to take the benefit of this experience and watch all the other teams and take select the opportunities and plan before it. So it's a decision. I mean, going from a failure stage to a success stage is a decision that you take in life, and persistence in this decision. That's my answer.
Thank you, Matthias. After all, you might have failures every day, but whenever you have success, try to capitalize on that success, and after that success, you will have small failures, but that's life, after all. Whoever tells you it's all about success, it's not true. That's what Matthias was saying. You wanted to jump in? Okay, jump in.
There's something about faith.
The microphone guy, he has your numbers. Like, for him, Leila is speaking. You won't have the mic.
Just to tell something about failure. It's up to us to decide if it's a failure or not. It's what we make out of our experience. If you decide that for failure, it's a deadlock and you stop there. But if you decide the failure, you take it as a first attempt in learning. Failure is the first attempt in learning. If you take it as a learning experience, your learning is so deep that you will learn something that you will enhance in your experience. So it will not become a failure. It will become experience of life, experience of work. So you can build on that. So it's really up to you to decide if it's a deadlock and it's a failure and you stop there, or it's an attempt in learning and you continue and you build on that.
And before having failure or success, I have one advice for you. Just start. That's where entrepreneurship, c'est entreprendre. For entreprendre. If we stay at the coffee shop and we're having big dreams and saying, I want to do this, do that, and I'm a great person, but sometimes you forget that you're not doing anything to start and to become that great person.
About the start is really, you have the opportunity in Enactus or in other experience like the Health Prize, this social impact award, etc. Try it. It's your chance, your opportunity to try it. It's a try and buy. If you try it and you like it, you will continue on that. But if you try and you don't like, at least you know that you don't like and it's not your path. But try it and I'm sure you will buy it.
Thank you, Akram. Leila, how to start? How to start?
I remember three or four questions that...
You're an engineer, you were
yes,
meant
exactly.
to do
I want to
anything else. Okay, Leila, okay. Please. Okay, go ahead, talk, Leila, talk. I'm going to hold you.
No, once upon a time, I was a biomedical engineer, as my friend said, Wasim. Yes. And at that time, I used to think the only thing I can do in life is stand in front of medical equipment and fix it. And I did that for 10 years. And every year I used to think, some people don't have a boss. How did they do that? Of course, my advice is to give time. You don't have to start to be an entrepreneur tomorrow morning. a day will